Welcome into Duval Daily, presented by GenJag.com. I'm Jordan DeLugo. Thanks so much for tuning in here on Monday, November 11th, as we have done every week for the past couple months almost after Jaguars losses. Mock draft time, mock draft Monday. Not a lot of hope for the 2024 campaign. The Jaguars are now 2-8. Looks like things are clearly headed in the wrong direction from a variety of standpoints. But as we have talked about, the Jaguars, they have their quarterback. They've got some talent at every level of the defense. They've got Brian Thomas Jr. They've got some talented running backs, some young talent on the offensive line. There's some things to be positive about, certainly. But I think you're moving in a new direction at the coaching staff level. I think the same thing can be said about the front office. So we're going to dive into a mock draft today. 5 rounds, which first 5-rounder. We're going to work our way up to 7, but we've mostly been sticking with 4 rounds. Generally speaking, after the first 3 to 4 rounds, it's even more of a crapshoot than it already is. The NFL draft is an inexact science, to say the very least. So we're going to dive into it, though. The Jaguars now hold the number 1 overall pick right now. Obviously, things can change, but if the season ended today, the Jaguars would be picking number 1 overall for the 3rd time since 2021. 2022. Get a little bit of a reprieve in 2023 and 2024, and then right back at it in 2025 with the first overall pick. Again, if the season ended today, which is just brutal for Jags fans. Absolutely unacceptable. Plenty of cap space to address some needs. So, free agency will happen prior to the draft. So that could impact what the Jaguars need. As I mentioned earlier, we've done mock drafts, a ton of mock drafts already. We've selected Will Campbell. And again, this hasn't been at 1 overall. I don't think any of them were at 1 overall, but almost all of them, at least close to the top 5. Will Campbell, Kelvin Banks, 2 offensive linemen that I like their games. I do. I think Will Campbell is the safer prospect overall, but Kelvin Banks maybe has a little more upside. Teteroa McMillan, a.k.a. T-Mac, out of Arizona, the 6'5", 210, 215-pound wide receiver, having a terrific year, tremendous hands, catch radius, length, all that good stuff. Surprisingly quick. Mason Graham, interior defensive lineman from Michigan, who is a bona fide stud. One of my favorite prospects in this class, whether it's stopping the run, playing stout football, or being a pressure generator from the interior. Will Johnson, the cornerback from Michigan, another absolute stud. I think that he's poised to be a great corner at the next level. And Travis Hunter. Honestly, right now, I don't think I can look at this roster and look at these prospects and justify someone outside of Travis Hunter, Will Johnson, or Mason Graham. And so that's where we're going to go right now with one of those 3. And to me, Travis Hunter is the most special prospect in this class. He's got unbelievable ability on both sides of the ball. We're going to take him right here at 1 overall. If you're not familiar with him, was the top recruit in the country a couple years ago. Went with Dion to Jackson and then followed him over to Colorado, and he's just been an unbelievable full-time player on both sides of the ball at cornerback and wide receiver. Now, he's not the biggest prospect out there at either position, about 185 pounds, just under 6 feet tall, but he does have tremendous length, unbelievable explosiveness, athleticism, and just ball skills as a cornerback or a wide receiver. I think the act of physically playing both positions in college negatively impacts him because of how many snaps he's having on a game-by-game basis, but mentally it helps him, right? Like, there's moments where he makes plays as a cornerback that I don't think you see most cornerbacks making because they don't play wide receiver full time as well. And whether that's from an ability to go attack the ball at the catch point or to kind of have nuanced reads of how wide receivers are trying to attack him, maybe from a leverage perspective or the way an offense is trying to use numbers against them, right? So there's just a lot of ways that Travis Hunter's ability to play both sides of the ball and playing both sides of the ball helps him, while it also hurts him because he's just playing too much. I'm taking him here at number 1 overall to play cornerback opposite Tyson Campbell, and situationally as a wide receiver. I think as much as you want to limit those snaps on both sides of the ball and you want them to focus on one more than the other at the NFL level, just because it is darn near impossible to really be a full-time player at the NFL level at both spots. It just is. So we're going to take him at corner, and we're going to use, again, having Travis Hunter and Tyson Campbell as your top two corners, and then Jarian Jones working to continue to grow in the nickel spot and probably being a really good nickel. You now have unbelievable athleticism and coverage chops and instincts and length on the outside. Like I said, Travis Hunter's not the tallest corner, but he does have great length and explosiveness. He can get his hands on the football better than most. There's no question about it. And the kicker here is, again, you're getting a playmaker situationally on offense that's going to help your quarterback. So I take Travis Hunter at number 1 overall. Don't think twice about it, really, just because of how much of an impact he can have on your football team at the NFL level. Not playing full-time on both sides, but giving you a little bit on both sides, and I think proving very effective in both roles there. At 34, would have loved to have gone offensive line early in the first round, but I don't know that the guy is there. I think Will Campbell is the safest offensive line prospect, but he probably is a guard if you're talking about where he is going to be best at the NFL level. He's done a good job in college despite not having the length, but again, I just think Travis Hunter needs be damned type of situation. And again, right now, cornerback is a need, outside cornerback for the Jaguars, so it's a plus. But I think you have to take Travis Hunter regardless of if that's a need or not, just how good he is and his ability to play both sides of the ball. At 34 overall, though, since we didn't go offensive line in the first round, we are going to go offensive line here. Whether it's a guard or a tackle, I think you can't go wrong, just depending on how the board shakes out. Mitch Morris at center is not getting any younger, also not under contract for a long time. Brandon Sheriff's contract is up, and he's going to be 33 years old. Dealt with a lot of injuries. Who knows if he keeps playing or not. Probably not going to be in Jacksonville, though. Cooper Hodges, unfortunately, cannot stay healthy for his 2 seasons. He's had two season-ending injuries. Walker Little is a free agent. So you can look at next year and say you have Anton Harrison as a starter. You do have Mitch Morris as a starter. And you have Ezra Cleveland. So you do have 3, right? Could you keep Walker Little around? Yes. I would not be against that necessarily. I don't think he's going to break the bank at all. But you still need a third tackle, and maybe Javon Foster could be that. We haven't really seen much from him in Jacksonville to really indicate that he's going to be a starter or a quality swing tackle yet. I'm going tackle Josh Simmons. He's a first-round talent. Was going to be my top-rated offensive tackle in this class, but had the ACL. So the goal here is not necessarily to have him ready, and hopefully he can be ready week 1. He had the ACL 3 or 4 weeks ago now, so it's not like it was a late-season ACL. There's a possibility he could be ready to go early on. But this is not a pick that, the concern is really making sure he's ready for week 1. It's making sure that you have Josh Simmons and Anton Harrison as your bookend tackles for a really long time. That's the idea here. Simmons has length. He has size. He has physicality. He can anchor down. So light on his feet and athletic. And you see that in pass protection. You see his ability to redirect and adjust to when defenses are running games up front or blitzing. You see him working laterally very well, working down the field to the second level, third level. He's got a nice target lock on him. He's able to really make solid contact against linebackers and safeties, working again up the field. I'm just a huge fan of the game of Josh Simmons. So even though maybe not getting him week 1, he'll be ready at some point, and he's going to, along with Anton Harrison, give you a really, really athletic, young, cheap tackle duo that both have premium pass protection talent, in my opinion. At 65, we're going to go with the name we have not talked about here much on the channel yet, and that is Xavier Restrepo. And I think building out an offense Obviously, it will depend on who your offensive coaching staff is next year. But I think Xavier Restrepo, his he's not going to be the most explosive or fastest guy in a straight line, right? But his play speed and play explosiveness off the charts, and some of the most reliable hands, route running, um, and just an absolute gamer. Xavier Restrepo out of Miami, probably a slot, right, at the next level, at least a lot more often than not. But somebody who just brings unbelievable hands, unbelievable toughness, focus, concentration. You can get him the ball in a variety of ways. I think if he is just primarily a slot player, getting him and giving that reliable of a player at that position for Trevor Lawrence, who, you're probably moving on from Christian Kirk from a monetary standpoint. Parker Washington has not proven that he is that dude yet. I think Xavier Restrepo would step in from day one and be a reliable target. And now you're talking about having an Evan Ingram, a Brian Thomas Jr., and Xavier Restrepo, and a real solid group of players that can get the job done for Trevor Lawrence, and continuing to build around that. And this is not definitive. There's actually a number of receivers I would like at this spot. I think we talked about Jaden Higgins last week, Jalen Rose as well. There's a lot of receivers I think that could be make a lot of sense for the Jaguars if they want to go that direction in the third round. But I think Xavier Restrepo is certainly one of them. Going to get to the rest of this mock draft first. Got to remind you all about Underdog Fantasy for Pick'em and a whole lot more. You can use code Duval Daily on their easy-to-use mobile app or UnderdogFantasy.com, and Underdog will give you a free pick to use on your first cash Pick'em entry, plus up to $1,000 in bonus cash when you deposit. This season, Underdog is running a special promo or bonus almost every single day. Like Profit Boost, you can pump up your winnings in just a tap when you apply the boost to eligible entries. Going to be tons of options for Jaguars and Lions. Maybe want to avoid the Jaguars, but if you want to pick a running back like Tank Bigsby to score, or maybe one of the Lions running backs, Underdog has vulture protection to rescue your pick'em. So if a running back gets vultured, Underdog's there to help you out, right? That's Underdog Fantasy, promo code Duval Daily to claim your new customer special of a free pick and your deposit offer. Must be 18 plus, 19 plus Alabama and Nebraska, 19 plus in Colorado for some games, 21 plus in Massachusetts and Arizona, and present in a state where Underdog Fantasy operates. Terms apply. Void in Colorado. Concerned with your play, call 1-800-GAMBLER or visit www.ncpgambling.org. Arizona, 1-800-NEXT-STEP. That's 1-800-639-8783 or text next step to 53342. New York, call the 24/7 Hope line at 1-8778-HOPE-NY or text HOPE-NY 467-369. So we got several picks left here in this 5-round mock draft. At 92, I've talked about late third, early fourth round, a lot of these safeties that I'm a fan of. And the Jaguars, they have the Andre Cisco situation, the final year of his rookie deal. Darnell Savage, Antonio Johnson have not really been the answers. It doesn't really feel like. So another name I'll throw into the ring here, because there's a lot of guys I really do think could step in and help early. This is a good safety class in the 2025 NFL draft. Malachi Moore out of Alabama has played a lot of football for them. I think he's got great instincts. I think he plays very fast. He's a sound tackler. He's a very good smart coverage player as well. So I think Malachi Moore, if you're talking about a free safety, maybe someone who can also come in and cover slots, have specific assignments at the next level in coverage. A guy that can probably be an eraser at times against like slots, maybe some tight ends as well. Not the biggest, right? But I think that his coverage ability is pretty darn impressive. So another guy that would make sense for me. At 103, we're going running back Travion Henderson. I think that, yes, the Jaguars have spent a lot of draft capital on running back. I think that next year will probably be Travis Etienne's final year in Jacksonville. Tank Bigsby would be going into his third year. Travion Henderson has a complete 3-down skill set. No doubt about it in my mind. He is shorter in stature. He's in between 205, 210 pounds. He plays a lot bigger than he is. Kind of got that Mighty Mouse syndrome, pocket Hercules, whatever you want to call him. He's not Maurice Jones-Drew, certainly from a physicality standpoint, but he has a lot of explosiveness, quickness. He has great hands. He's really solid as a blocker. He brings full physicality. So this is the type of running back. I've been on him since he was a freshman at Ohio State. I thought that he could have come out into the NFL after his freshman year. Now he's finally eligible to do that, and I'm excited to see where he lands, but I think he's going to be able to make an impact. And I like the idea of over the next couple years. Yes, Travis Etienne's still there, but Travion Henderson being that guy with the 3-down skill set, Tank Bigsby the early down skill set. I think that's a really nice compliment there. At 128, we're going with another wide receiver, Torrey Horton, who I have talked about here on the channel before, out of Colorado State. He's just a pro, and he's got great length. He's a tremendous route runner. He's got some good yak ability with his quickness, twitchiness, and just kind of pace with the ball in his hands. He's able to kind of juke defenders out of their shoes a little bit, get a few extra yards here and there. Got great hands, great catch radius, pro route runner. I think that Torrey Horton at this in this range would just be too good to pass up. And now you're talking about a big time group of pass catchers. When Brian Thomas Jr., Evan Ingram, Xavier Restrepo, Torrey Horton, and you're able to move on from some of the vets you've had that aren't playing as well as you would really like, right? At 139, another player we have talked about, but again, Mitch Morse not getting any younger. Center Logan Jones, he's just an amazing athlete, going to be one of the best athletes ever at the center position coming out of Iowa, and I think he's really improved over the course of this year in pass protection and in the run game, and he's a dog. He brings it. So I think that's the type of guy you want to bring in to learn from Mitch Morse. I know that currently the Jaguars kind of talk about Luke Fortner being their center of the future. I don't think that the new regime, whoever that may be, assuming that does happen, is going to feel the same way about Fortner. So getting their own guy in there with a lot of athleticism and talent to learn behind Mitch Morse and grow into a future starter, I think makes sense here at 139. So that'll do it here for this mock draft. Really appreciate y'all tuning in. Let me know what you think in the comment section below. If you enjoy the content, please like, subscribe, hit that notification bell. You can also check out genjag.com/shop, pick up some new Duval gear, become a channel member here on YouTube. Y'all have a good one.